Greetings, salutations, and welcome to the 88th episode of Abyssal Musings. My name is Samuel the Infamous, and sitting in for Larry today, we have Smooth the DJ. How you doing, man?
Good evening. I'm doing pretty good, man. Episode 88,
Good.
huh? And we got the double S
88.
combo going on today. that's interesting, actually.
We're going to call
Same
this the
number,
white supremacy
same
episode.
letter. the S supremacist.
Hasn't even been
That's
40
good, guys.
seconds yet. I've already said white supremacy out loud. This is going to go well.
No, that does happen. That's okay. We'll be fine.
It does. But we are live. We are live here and on Rumble. We're still not on Twix because I'm still not verified, and that may not happen. I'm not sure. Haven't decided yet.
Is it because of your name, maybe, that they don't verify you?
No, I haven't tried to get verified because I haven't needed to until they decided to cancel live streaming from unverified accounts last Saturday.
Gotcha. So, it does take some time when you first start to apply for it, but normally you should be fine after a while. But Twix takes
I just haven't
time with a lot of things. So
I'm just looking into everything that entails because there's only so much information I'm willing to give out. So if it comes down to certain information, then there's no way it's going to happen. Hopefully, we can work something out with X, or with Twitter, Twix, whatever you want to call it. But until then, here we are. So, so chat, good to see you guys. Always a pleasure. You might have noticed a distinct lack of Larry on the screen. He is doing IRL stuff. As we all know, IRL stuff comes first. It's more important than what we do here on the tubes, especially since we're not making any money doing this. This is just a hobby. So
but you don't get any money for this? How dare you? You might be on the show.
You know what? I've been doing this shit for 2 years and I'm still not eligible for monetization.
That's insane. That's freaking insane, man.
Well, it's more common than you think. Most of the channels that make it huge on here, there's actually a tiny percentage of the overall content that's on YouTube. Most people never make it past my level. So and a lot of them actually don't even make it as far as I have, which is surprising to me. Some of them.
There's channels on YouTube where I think, like, how in the hell are they not monetized or have more subscribers? And it's always the ones who have like awesome content going on, but YouTube doesn't want to push that kind of stuff. And I'm like, YouTube, you want to create support like small creators and all that stuff, and talk about well-being of small creators all the time, right? Why are you doing this to your content creators who actually give a crap about your platform and don't abuse it for like financial gain? Rumble would probably monetize you. Yeah, there's no lie behind that, Suka.
I am partially monetized on Rumble because you can start doing like Rumble rants and shit like right out of the gate.
That's true.
But it's not a big thing, and I don't put any of my shit behind a paywall, and I'm never going to. So I'm never going to require people to pay for content. We just sit here and talk on the internet. It's not like we're out curing cancer or anything.
No.
And all that, but yeah, no. So we are. This is the show tonight. Larry should be back next week, y'all. He is just, sometimes shit comes up, right? You can't be everywhere at the same time. So, but yeah, we miss you, Larry. We'll see you next week. Let's say hello.
Get home safe, dude.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sam's OnlyFans keeps him above water. Andy, we don't talk about that. You know that, right? We don't talk about that.
Well, he's only given away that he subscribed to it. So how else would he know about it? Jacob Gallo was first. Good to see you, my man.
Hey.
We got Kawhi Maskus with us.
Hey.
Second, good to see you. Good to see you. We have Andy Pickle. Wow, 3 hours early to steal first from Lawrence. Yeah, it is what it is.
Yes and no, Andy. Yes and no.
Look, to be honest with you, this whole thing started as a joke, and then I don't know how well you know Lawrence yet behind the scenes, but dude is extremely competitive. Even if he likes you a lot, he is going to bury you if he can.
Yeah. I noticed that.
Yeah. So we got Ryan from Legion Games, 52nd, which is quite a mean feat, seeing as how there were only 3 posters before you. But still, congratulations, I suppose. Beak with before hashtag before Larry. I think he started this shit last week. It's pretty funny. We got Lawrence Knight in the chat. To all you clowns that think you got here before me, I'm on a plane right now. I've been at the airport all day. You did nothing special, nothing, especially you, Pickle. Now I'm logging off. See, that's a little petty, Larry.
That's very petty. That's not how you treat your audience, Larry. Jeez, man.
So we also have Smooth DJ, who's up here on panel with us.
Who's that fucking guy?
I don't know. It's some dude I met on the internet. It's weird how that works out, right? We have Suka Nuka. I was here before Larry. I just didn't say anything, so it still counts, as Larry would say. That's true. He would say that if it was
no lies detected. No lies detected, Suka.
That's so fucking funny. All right, I think that catches us up to. Oh no, we have Celine in chat. Hello, Celine.
Hey,
Good
Celine.
to see you. Welcome in. Welcome in. I'm not into tentacles. Yeah. Well, how in the hell am I supposed to know that if you know about the OnlyFans? Like, the only people who know about the OnlyFans, I don't advertise that shit. You have to subscribe to know about it.
True. It's like Fight Club. You don't talk about it unless you're in it. You know?
Yeah. Celine says, I'm voting for Trump. I think a lot of people who weren't are, but we're not going to get into it on this show here. This is less of a political thing. So
being weird.
I'm definitely getting into it tomorrow on Screaming to the Void. It's just not really for the format for this show. We don't really
just be aware you might be paying for political misinformation when you do that. But
yeah,
well, that's YouTube for you. It's an election year after all.
It wouldn't be the first time. I see. I've been hit with
strikes before. Is that what you're saying? I know. He's
COVID misinformation.
There's a lot of weird things that you cannot talk about on YouTube all the time. So there's a few things where you're like, it would be common sense to talk about it, but then there's like other things where YouTube is like, no, you cannot talk about this because we're the corporate overlords and we tell you not to. Right?
Right.
That's how that plays out, right?
I don't really play those stupid games because it's that's exactly what it is. It's a game. If I were Asmongold's level, I could say anything I wanted and they wouldn't say a damn thing to me. I might get a suspension for a little while, but because that dude brings them in money. I'm not bringing them any money, so they don't care about me. I got hit for hate speech once. I'm expecting more of this down the road. So
see, here's the thing. There's so much that because it's being covered by hate speech these days. That word almost lost every meaning. It doesn't.
I don't think it ever had any meaning. I don't believe in hate speech.
I'm starting to question that word too. So
I never have believed in it. And I know in some countries there are laws about that, but not this one. There never have been here. There's nothing codified in the U.S. about hate speech. They're trying like hell.
Scottish how they feel about that one. Oof.
Yeah. Well, the Canadians will throw your ass in jail and put you through a series of
re-education camp. Right?
Yeah.
Last time I heard that word, there was some red armbands involved with a certain symbol. But I digress.
Indeed. So a culturally appropriated symbol, I might add. But hey, Aaron, Laura, and Caucasian Sasquatch, good to see you.
Evening.
So, but yeah. So I don't know. I'm not so much worried about what we say on the platform so much as I do like to keep things kind of compartmentalized. Like this is the more. I'd say whimsical and fun, but some of the shit Larry shows us is pretty awful.
Sometimes I just tune into randomly tune into the show when I'm just waking up when I'm not on the show and I'm just looking at the stuff and I'm like, oh, Larry, where did you find this shit? like right? Seriously.
He finds some of the most obscure, whacked out things on the internet that I have ever seen. and then he presents them to us here and expects us all to be okay with it.
I mean,
so
yeah. The Brit will toss you in the clink to a gal
I
and
don't
for
know.
singing her friend's
It's a good
favorite
time,
rap song. Yeah, Andy, the whole thing with the rap song is pretty messed up. You can't even sing kung fu fighting in public in the UK anymore because it's allegedly racist. Believe it or not.
Hey, Shadow.
Hey, Shadow.
That's retarded.
That is retarded. Yeah,
I'm just
exactly.
Gonna say that. That's absolutely retarded.
I mean, I'll still sing it. I mean, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. It's not like saying kung fu fighting is not the same thing as saying, for instance, that Asians can't drive.
Yeah, I was saying like every Asian has to become a doctor because their parents tell them to. You know, stereotypes are there for a reason.
I don't know about the driving thing, but that other thing seems to be like a pretty common deal with Asians. Actually, it's like, if you're not going to be,
there is a reason why there's a Family Guy joke for the "talk to me when you're doctor" thing. You know,
yeah,
talk to me when you're doctor.
That's do you know who Stephen Hay is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Emotional
his entire channel. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
His entire channel is based around, Asian parents,
stereotypes, and Asian stereotypes. Yeah, like the Asian knockoff brands and all that stuff.
Yeah, he did one just a couple days ago where the son character came home with a friend, and the friend is a superhero, had all these superpowers and shit. And at the end of that, the dad was just like, "So what can you do with that? What kind of money can you bring in?" He was like, "Oh, how did you do that when you fix a roof?" And he's like, "That's just something I can do." He's like, "Okay, contractor." He just starts listing off things that he could do with his powers to make money.
What did you do for me lately? Kind of attitude, right? That's kind of funny. That.
So, and then he looks at his own kid. He's like, "Why can't you be more like your friend here? He's awesome.
He's a superhero."
Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible. It's
racist.
hysterical stuff, though.
Yes, why so racist? Exactly. Yeah.
Why so racist?
We're all equally racist here. Okay, we're all equally racist here. If you can't make fun of everybody, what's the fucking point, right?
Right. I got in so much trouble for my friend Amira is known to say some things about other people's. She also says some things about her own people's, but she always gets mad at me when I say some things about her own people's.
I wonder why.
I mean, I don't know how many jokes, like there's only so many camel jockey jokes you can make, but every once in a while, there's a golden opportunity. And at one point, I think I said something about because she's a polyglot, right? So she speaks multiple languages, and English is actually her third language. Which, like, if you haven't spent a lot of time around polyglots, is kind of impressive because she speaks it pretty fluently, given that it's her third language. Biggest issue she has usually is like local colloquialisms and idioms and such, which isn't that big a deal because usually those are very local and very specific to a region or a town or whatever. And so she'll sometimes miss humor or phrases that don't really make sense unless you know the context, kind of thing, which is totally normal. People who speak English have trouble with those, who are native speakers. But somebody was asking how many languages she spoke, and I put something in her chat a couple of weeks ago that she actually timed me out for like the rest of the show for this, which was English is her third language.
I mean, to be fair, English is my first and second language at the same time, but my brain always runs in tandem with German and English. So sometimes I catch myself thinking in German, or when I'm speaking German, I'm thinking English, and I just can't think of the words that I want to say, and then I just cobble them all together until it actually makes sense. It is. It is quite something.
But I didn't say English. I said English.
English.
English is her third language. She was not very happy with me about that. It's still funny though.
Shiwa Amira, son.
Yeah, good times.
Oh, I believe
that
Amira is scary, Shadow. Don't get me wrong. I've seen her on stream before, but I'm not scared of her. She may look scary, but she probably isn't scary. So it's okay.
Well, as long as her uncles don't put on their special vests to come visit you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the special one that goes tick tick boom, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They always reach out for a hug
by your house.
Weird how that works. They love hugging people.
Right?
Weird that.
Excuse me.
She's telling me to interact with women romantically. Why is that a problem, Shadow? Huh? What gives? You got something to say?
She's telling you to propagate your race, dude.
Yeah. Plant your seed and all that stuff.
Here's the thing. While there is sort of an invasion of peoples coming into Europe and into North America and and whatnot, who are not in fact white, and there is some truth to that whole like replacement theory. Although I don't think it's as dire as the fact that generally speaking, whites are simply not breeding as much as they should, not to sustainable levels.
True.
You can't blame immigrants or illegal aliens or whatever for the drop in birth rate. That is 100% on the people. So what she's doing, Shadow, is she's telling you to man up and do your part.
Put your name out there. That's what she's saying.
Yeah, I already have. So I guess I could have some more kids if I really wanted to, but I'm a little old for that.
Define old for me.
Well, I'm 43 and my family is, generally speaking, on my father's side, cursed to die before we're 55 if we're men.
Okay, that's pretty messed up. I mean, you're only 9 years older than me, but still,
if I were to have children now, there's a good chance I would never live to see them grow up, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is.
It's a pretty messed up curse you got on your family.
I don't know if it's like a curse or if it's just that we're prone to self-destruction or what it is. I had an uncle who was stabbed to death in a prison before he was 50. My own father was one of the few who actually made it past there, but he died when he was like 63. His body basically disintegrated from all of the substance abuse over the years. His father drank himself to death. It's just, I think a couple of them were shot by Indians. Yeah, it's just the thing. It's like we don't live that long. The men on my father's side of the family generally don't make it very far. We never make it to retirement age. Let me put it that way. Hopefully I will make it past that. But yeah. So we just call it a curse. I don't know if we're actually cursed, but I wouldn't put it past somebody to have cursed my family because most of us are assholes too. So
that does happen. Sometimes natural selection works in funny ways, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, Suka, I don't know for a fact that I only have a decade left in me, but it's just one of those things. Like, I don't really want to commit to something that I'm not sure I'm going to be around for,
Sam is like this one anime character that always wants to teach his young one to be better than him and strive for greatness, and then he just bites the dust before he actually sees it. It's pretty much like the uncle from Jujutsu Kaisen, that kind of stuff. Just take any father figure in pop culture recently.
Right.
Don't drink or fight Indians. Yeah, that's what's to live by. Actually,
it's generally speaking that's true, especially when you're fighting drunk Indians.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. And when I say Indians here, I'm gonna come off a little bit racist because we ain't supposed to use that term anymore for the Native Americans. But when I say Indians, I mean feathers, not dots.
You could call them Redskins, right? It's pretty much racist, allegedly.
Well, here's the thing, man. Is so I'm mostly white, mostly.
Yeah.
A lot of that is German, from immigrant, forebears and whatnot. Some of it is
okay. Let's see what you're doing there.
Yeah, some of it is very. Oh, hey, Nomi's here. Hi, Nomi.
Hi, I'm here. Sorry, I'm late.
Oh, no worries, no worries. We're just going over my my genealogy a little bit. So most of it's European mix. A lot of it comes from Germany and from Bavaria and Austria and that kind of thing.
Oh God, that part of Germany.
A fair amount. I mean, look, my family were shepherds. That's what we did over there. You know, as in literal German shepherds. You know, it is what it is, right? So, but there's a little bit of all four of the British Isles in there. You know, some other stuff here and there, but the other major portion of it is still minuscule compared to the German, but it's bigger than pretty much all of the other slices. Is Native American. 4 different tribes, I believe, although only one of them to any significant degree, and that's the Oglala Lakota. Yeah, so, but the reason that I have Oglala Lakota in my blood is because my great-grandmother, I want to say great-grandmother, I'm pretty sure I've told the story on stream before, was sold to my great-grandfather by her tribe.
Interesting. Yeah. So if I randomly start hear you yell 9, then I should be concerned, probably.
Yeah. Now he dude was like making his way across, found some we're not supposed to use this term anymore, but it is a term, squaw, that he liked, and so we, you know, threw some blankets and beads at the local chieftain and took her home.
I mean, there's weirder ways to meet your wife, you know. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So, you know,
definitely weird ways to meet your wife.
Right. My mother's side, on the other hand, comes from Oklahoma, which is there. I don't believe there's a soul in Oklahoma, no matter how pasty they look, that doesn't have some kind of Indian in them. Usually one of the 5 civilized tribes who were shuffled out there during the Trail of Tears. Like myself, for instance, I have Cherokee, Choctaw, and Creek, I think. You know, but again, in very minuscule amounts, and it's just because of the region that my mother comes from. Like everybody's got a little bit, you know, and actually where I live now, everybody's mixed to some degree or other. You know,
to be fair, there's barely any 100% people anymore, right? Because there's so much mixing in cultural mixing going on nowadays. You can't even tell who is like actually a full blood, you know, something. Even my family. I mean, my dad's Scottish and my mom's German. Even from both of their sides, there's no 100% thing going on, because my granddad is actually Dutch. So there's a little bit of that in there. And then I've never met my granddad from my father's side, but allegedly he was Italian. So it's a funny mixture going on there. Kind of.
Fair enough. Andy Pickle, no, not Operation Paperclip. My German forebears were here before they were Nazis. So like we go back as far as the Civil War. You know, and actually I think there might be 1 or 2 that was around for the Revolutionary War, but you know, like we're talking like you know, Hessian mercenary kind of shit. You know, from way back. And all that, but yeah, no, the vast majority of my ancestors on my father's side who come from Germany were here before Nazis were a thing.
So they're the good Nazis, is what you're saying.
I'm saying that they never joined the party because they were Americans by then.
I'm just jumping to conclusions. Yeah, it's okay.
You know, like I have no doubt that I have probably some relatives in Germany who were on probably both sides of that particular conflict, actually. Like most people over there, I think, is related to somebody who was either fighting for or against them at the time, you know, because it was an all-consuming thing. So,
true.
But I don't know those people. I have no contact with any of them. I have no idea who I'm related to in Germany or not, because yeah, it is what it is. You know,
you might be related to Moo.
It's possible.
Be pretty funny, actually. That would be pretty funny, actually. if that were the case. I mean, I've been thinking about doing this ancestry test at some point just to figure out what my roots actually are, just for the lols. But I'm probably going to be shocked of what will come out of that one. I mean, there was a phase when I was a teenager where I used to think that I was adopted by my parents, even though it was evident that I was actually an offspring of both of my parents. I was like for a year or so. And then I knocked that thought out of my head relatively quick after that. But
yeah, but it's weird how
I'm just saying
it's weird how that stuff kind of works. Like my oldest is actually my stepchild. She's not biologically related to me in any way. But what's weird is that she physically looks like she's related to me. And she behaves more like me than she does her biological father. Some of that I'm sure is because I raised her. Excuse me. But some of that she came like that. It was just one of those weird things. When I met her mother, her mom asked me at one point, she's like, are you sure you're the father? I was like, well, you
sure
know.
You're related?
You should know. You're the one who's been around, not me.
Yeah.
I've been there before you, what?
Stop comparing me to your ex.
You don't want to go down that rabbit hole. Trust me.
Yeah. I wish I was joking, but that actually started a really big fight that lasted about 3 months.
Oh, dang. But I do believe there's something with adoption when it's not your biological kid, but I wouldn't say morphs, but like blends into you. Yeah. One of my dad's sisters, she's only 2 years older than me, and she's adopted. Blood and everything, like barely any little Mexican, anything Latin based. She has no blood in, but she looks like she is related to us. A lot of my friends who have met her will say like, oh, you guys look like each other. Like I can see you guys look related on your dad's side. And we'll just look at each other like, yeah, haha, how funny, because bloodline.
It's like, yeah, I guess
there's no 1 ounce of blood in her. There's no any Latin blood in her, but she looks like us. And if you meet her, she looks like she can be related to us. So I do believe that there is a way, like if you're raised, because excuse me, I have a hiccups, but but my grandparents adopted her when she was 2 years old. So that gives you plenty enough time to develop facial features, I guess, or even like the mannerisms that we have as family that makes her look like she is biologically related to us when there's no blood in her at all.
Sure. And but that's why it was weird with my kid, because she already looked like me and behaved a little like me when I met her.
Well, you have said before that you have said before you get around, so
not that much. Not that much.
He's a tentacle monster. Of course he gets around.
I would have remembered this woman who I later did have a child with. It's like I would have remembered her. Just saying, she kind of stands out a little bit. Plus, her family.
Do a toast real quick. I just want to do a toast real quick to all my American brothers and sisters. This one's for you. Cheers.
Yep. Cheers.
Woo!
Zdravia.
Some good old Scotch.
Oh yeah, I would like the Russian toast best.
No zdravia.
Just rolls off the tongue. Yeah, I like it quite a bit. Plus, it's always fun when people are like, "What did you just say?"
I just insulted your mom. Is what I did. What?
Yeah. Look. If I wanted to insult somebody's mom in Russian, there are about 1,000 ways to do that don't include those words.
Yep.
It's like, like the Spanish have fine-tuned the art of the insult so that it sounds really pretty.
Oh yeah.
The Russians go hardcore.
To be fair, if you're not familiar with the Russian language and you hear somebody talk in Russian and you walk past them, you'd think they're about to bash their fucking skulls in, because it always sounds pretty aggressive in a way. But then again, I keep hearing that about the German language as well. That they always sound very aggressive when they talk. But
I think that depends on who's speaking.
I mean,
know.
There's a difference if you listen to someone from Saxon or if you listen to someone from Bavaria. Bavarians always sound very friendly because of they got the natural accent, right? Or the dialects. And then you have Saxon who always sound like the some Nazi leftovers from Eastern Germany, you know? So yeah.
I don't know, Smooth. Say something to us in German.
Something insulting?
Yeah, say something insulting. Say something insulting towards me.
Deine Mutter ist eine Schlampe.
What did you say?
And that's like coming up aggressive. Your mom's a slut. That's basically what I'm saying.
Ooh.
So that's kind of like Schlampe is like the
hey, Amira.
baddest word you can say. Oh, hi, Amira.
Hello.
Speak of the devil.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's certain languages roll off the tongue and are very, very pretty, and certain ones are not. And but again, with German, I think it depends on who's doing the speaking. I saw this interview years ago with Heidi Klum, and she was talking about how this very thing actually.
Please don't bring.
I think it was Conan O'Brien she was talking to, and he's like, well, say something in German, and she did, and it sounded very smooth and friendly and kind of sexy. And then he's like, well, how come when Arnold Schwarzenegger does it, he's always like, and she's like, well, he's a bit on the Austrian side, isn't he?
He's on the Austrian side. I'm not related to him in any way, shape, or form. I got the perfect skit for what Suka was saying about French sounding gay. I just put it in the private chat.
Hold on just a second. What do you mean by a
poussé?
Poussé.
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 Poussé. It's a pocket poussé. Die Fledermaus.
Come down, Chiga.
Whoa.
Yeah. Sorry. See.
I'm sorry, Smooth, that took you off.
That's okay. Amira loves the French. I bet she does.
Yeah, that's French.
No, she loves the French about as much as I do, which is to say, not at all.
If you had some French in school for a couple of years, you know the language of surrender. I know the language of defeat because I'm German. We lost 2 world wars after all.
What's up? Step up, Germany. You can't fight this.
Yeah, BDK.
It's actually funny because I'm eating French fries right now.
Those are American. Just saying.
America. Fuck yeah.
Those were invented in America, so was French toast.
So Suka, this is for you. This is for you.
All right. How long is this?
37 seconds.
37 seconds. All right.
Yeah.
All right, here's your Mike and Ike's with all the Ikes taken out. I hope you were careful, because I swear to God, if I find one Ike in there, I am going straight to Babs. It's fine. I double-checked. Here's your Mike's. What's next? Next, I want you to fly to France and tell French people that a good-looking, depressed guy smoking a cigarette is not a movie.
Facts.
I mean, I don't disagree with that at all.
It's not a movie.
I don't know where
it's not a movie.
Yeah. No, it's not.
It's a commercial, if at all.
Like, I don't know if you guys in chat have ever seen a French film, but only about
French films are porn.
3% of them are any good. Most of the rest of them are terrible.
True. Yeah, French are trash at making movies, but they're good at making documentaries.
Yeah.
People of France, a good-looking, depressed guy smoking a cigarette is not a movie. And your sirens sound like gay guys having a threesome.
Yeah, it's fucking true. Okay.
Yep.
Oh man, I kind of hate to give Family Guy any real credit because most of that show is trash, but that's pretty funny.
That clip lives rent free in my head. I'm just saying. Every time I hear something about French, that's where my brain wanders off to.
I don't know, man. I have had no respect for the French. So they spent 1,000 years fighting the English tooth and fucking nail, right? And I can respect that.
Mm-hmm.
But the second Germany rolls into town, they're like, "We give up.
We surrender. Please don't kill us."
Excuse me. But yeah, no respect for that at all. And then, of course, almost 80 years later, when the EU rolls around, and Germany was at the head of that, was the forefront of that. And immediately the French just start doing what the Germans tell them to again. It's like, dude, you're not even
obedience at this point, right? It's like trained obedience. I've been thinking about that a few times. Like, what kind of dirt do the Germans have on the French that they constantly surrender to them?
A threesome?
Maybe.
Possibly. Yeah. Possibly. I don't know. France is a weird country. Like, there are some things that I don't hate about it, like the invention of the guillotine, which is, pretty badass. But
they should bring that back.
They also, yeah, they also invented French baths.
What's a French bath?
That. It's where you walk up to a sink and you scrub your junk and your armpits, and that's it.
Oh, you mean a salute bath?
Yes, a bath that prostitutes perfected to get on with their craft. French prostitutes.
No, that's what broke girls do when they're like, oh, heck yeah. Like, I didn't expect this to happen, but I haven't showered in 3 days.
Yeah. Well, it came about because French prostitutes, especially during the time of the French Revolution and the Reign of Terror and all that stuff, were doing a lot of business. And so they'd transact with a John, and then they'd run to the basin, scrub their bits real quick, and go get another John.
Huh.
So yeah,
I've never been to France. Well, that's a lie. I've been to like the airport, but that was it.
I'll just say this: Paris is overrated.
Looks like
it's very dirty and it's very overrated and expensive. Besides, I don't like French people anyway because they're arrogant as fuck. But that's just me.
That's so fucking funny that you say that. So my mother, when I was a kid, had a 1981, I think, Alliance Renault, and it was the biggest piece of shit. It got so bad at one point. She blames me to this day for killing that car because I said it was a piece of shit and it's gonna die, and it did one day, and it was like no one has ever been able to get it to restart since. Because they suck. So I don't know about the other one, but I've been in a Renault. They're not good.
I mean, the Renaults, the Peugeots are usually fine, but Renaults, they're like a piece of crap. They always have something faulty going on. There's at least like every 2 months there's a recall going on for these fucking cars because the French just don't get their shit together. Meanwhile, you've got Vauxhall or Opel, as we call it here in Germany. We are known for precision German engineering, or like Mercedes or BMW, what have you. There's a reason why BMW took over Mini from the British, and it also makes repairs on these fucking cars very expensive. I can tell because I actually had a Mini that was built by BMW for at least a year, and I put more money into that than the money I actually spent on the car.
That's another thing. So France was under German occupation for a good.
I'm trying to think how long was it under occupation?
Dang it! Did we lose
occupation?
We lost Sam.
Sam is losing his internet.
Dang, it's up to you and me now, Smooth.
That's okay. He'll be back. Let me just double check real quick what Sam was about to say. So, the French occupation lasted 2 years, and it was occupied by Italy and Germany of all countries. I mean, Italy and Germany are still buddy for the most part. Not as extreme as it used to be in World War II, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
But if you go there, don't say that you're American. If you are from Dallas, J.R. Ewing, yes, that's right, Andy, because all they know is Dallas.
Well, good thing I'm not from Dallas. I'm from El Paso. I'm as real Mexican as you're ever gonna get.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Internet's being up to you. Yeah, we figured it, Sam. It's okay. Take your time.
Okay, Sam. We got this, even though we have
the
no
Renault
powers.
Freewheel. Nah, it's okay. There was a joke that a German comedian once did because he's like Turkish, but he also played an Indian in a skit where he always had a cow around him called Benita, and he made the joke because there was a Renault Peugeot, although it was a Peugeot, and there was a certain number involved in it, and there was Indian music playing in it. So he actually took a twist on the whole advertisement for that one, and turned the car into a rickshaw.
Really?
And put the cow in the front of the car. It was pretty damn funny.
Did the music go?
It was like, ding, 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 ding. Like the Punjabi MC song, but like a little bit different.
Yeah, Punjabi. Yeah, I used to, when I was in India, like it was Punjabi and then Telugu that I had to learn the language for.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I like the sitar when people can play it properly. It's a pretty damn good instrument. So if you go to Germany, say that you like the Hof.
What does that mean?
I mean, you know David Hasselhoff, right?
Yeah.
Well, he claims to this day that he's allegedly responsible for making the Berlin Wall fall because he's been singing "I've Been Looking for Freedom" while he was in Germany. Okay. And to this day, he believes that. Don't know why he does that, and honestly, I don't fucking care because David Hasselhoff is a fucking idiot.
All right, David Hasselhoff, just go back to patrolling the beaches. That's all I.
To be fair, there's a reason why he lives in Germany for the most part nowadays. I don't know. I have no. I don't even know that. Actually, bothered.
Mm-hmm.
He even speaks German, passable German. Actually, he was in a few comedies and over here as well. Why didn't the Chevy Nova sell well in Mexico? Nova. Well, I guess
means doesn't go.
Nova. Well, I'll be honest. There's worse cars to actually have around here. So I'm driving an Italian car, so I have no horse in this race. To be honest with you.
What car are you driving?
It's a Fiat 500. We talked about. I think we talked about this previously. That car gobbles up a lot of fuel.
Yes, because I had a rent. That's right. Because I told you I had a rental car as a Fiat.
Mm-hmm.
The worst gas guzzler vehicle I've ever had in my freaking life. I had to drive from Kansas City to another town for a job that I had, and this town was like 2 hours away. I had to stop 30 minutes into my drive to get a full tank of gas. I was like, this car is freaking worthless.
Yep, it is. I only have it because I'm living in a city where I usually just park the car somewhere and just walk everywhere because like everything in my city is like within walking distance for me. So the car is pretty much obsolete unless I have to do like big shopping and all that stuff, or like if I go see my parents and all that stuff, or when I want to go on a holiday, I just drive wherever. But I actually consider getting myself a Smart, which is like the Mercedes equivalent to that. But then again, I don't want a small car anymore after that because, sure, you fit in literally every gap that you can get. But the problem is, after a while, the insurance is very freaking expensive because, one, it's a Mercedes car. Number two, Mercedes cars are mostly known for doing the most accidents on German roads, funnily enough, especially on the Autobahn. Yeah, that's why the insurance is very fucking high for them. And it's just, hey, he's back. And
that was irritating.
That was the only thing that really bugs me about the whole Smart thing. And you only have 2 seats and you have no boot, essentially. That was the biggest freaking problem about that car. I mean, it's good for if you're a couple and you just want to like travel somewhere without any luggage or anything like that. But can't recommend that car, to be honest. Even though it's German engineering and all that. Especially if you're in an accident, you don't have that much wiggle room to actually survive that.
Me being the U.S. citizen that I am, like, let's get a diesel Ram truck.
Exactly.
Yeti cooler full of Coors Light. Pop one when we're driving. Do some wheelies. Go through some mud puddles and go, hell yeah, brother, every time. That's my
brother.
That's my type of hangout.
Yep. I mean, Suka is not wrong. German cars are very over-engineered. That is very true. They are very fucking over-engineered.
Yeah. For the non-Europeans in the audience, a boot is a trunk.
Yeah.
I did not know that, but now I do.
Right. Cheers to that. You can legally park the Mercedes Smart car bumper to sidewalk. Yep, that is true. The Smart can do that. Yep, that's the only car where you can legally do that. That is factually true. I mean, technically, I could do that with my Fiat as well, but I don't want to risk it because it's there's some fucking retards on the road. So yeah, but technically, you could do that. And a lorry is a truck, correct?
And one of them named Sam.
Sam.
I'm not that particular about vehicles. I don't know that much about them. I'm not. I didn't go to auto class or anything.
Neither do I.
School, but
the fact that you used a snake for a timing belt, yeah, you don't know anything about vehicles, Samuel.
That Larry made that shit up, right?
For the most part, yeah.
Well, seeing as how he wasn't there. But no, I don't particularly care about what a car is so long as it works, which is why I don't buy French.
You should not buy anything French unless it's a baguette. That's the only thing you should get, or maybe wine.
Did you say baguette?
Baguette, yes.
Okay, yeah. I was making sure
I'm not throwing
you're on
the
thin ice,
Mac
buddy.
Gamer words here for crying out loud. Jeez, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm what I was saying before I got kicked off the thing unceremoniously. Was that the thing that surprises me about the French is that they were occupied by Germany for a number of years during Germany's like the height of their technological prowess, right? They were at that time one of the most technologically advanced societies on planet Earth. Whether they were a good society or not is not what I'm getting at here. They built quality shit that worked. How is it that the French were occupied by these guys and didn't pick up a damn thing or two about German engineering?
Kohai, I'm channeling my inner Larry today. That's why Samuel has all these problems today. I'm just saying.
I got problems.
Larry asked me to fill in for him after all. So
yeah. We can blame Larry.
Flight of the Conchords is
himself, but
Flight of the Conchords is great, Andy. I love the duo. They're pretty good.
Yeah.
Two New Zealanders making some pretty good music.
Because I'm shiny.
For some reason, I was thinking when he said Flight of the Conchords, Flight of the Navigator, which is a pretty good movie, but I don't know why I was thinking that.
Shitternet movie that you like to watch, Sam, at the $1 bid at Walmart?
Yes. No, this one came out in theaters actually in the 80s.
Dang.
It's pretty good. It's about a boy who runs across a sentient spaceship and becomes the navigator for that ship. It's a pretty cool little movie. It's a family movie. So came around at the same time as
careful, don't mention the word family too often. You know what happens otherwise. We don't want to summon Vin Diesel here, okay? Careful now. Careful now.
I'm not afraid of Vin Diesel. That guy plays with surf sharks.
To be fair,
not surf sharks.
He got a fuck ton of money for that. He's been a talking tree, and I got a fuck ton of money for that. So yeah.
He said one line in multiple inflections.
I am Groot.
Wait, what?
Yes, I'm Groot.
What do you say about my mom?
I am Groot.
Okay. You
Yeah.
didn't have to be that mean to me. Okay. Calm down. Blame Larry. Yeah, I wish speak. Panic last year in France was but there was a butter shortage in France. That's true. Also, the French farmers were actually protesting against some certain government regulations, and also the French people love to go out on the street and fucking riot.
Yeah.
You think the 1st of May protests in Germany are bad? Look at what the French are doing sometimes.
Yeah.
The French don't give a fuck.
Yeah, Andy Pickle. I do know who Jermaine Clements is. I've seen Clement. I've seen a few of his things, including What We Do in the Shadows, which is hilarious. The movie is hilarious. Whatever you want to say about Taika Waititi, some of his early career is very, very, very worth watching.
Pretty good. The older stuff's pretty good.
Yeah,
early stuff was good, and I liked him when he did Jojo Rabbit. It's when he started
Jojo Rabbit was. Yeah, there are some extraordinarily inaccurate things in Jojo Rabbit, like the fact that Hitler wouldn't have eaten the unicorn because he was a vegan, and also he didn't smoke. Hated smokers,
which I highly doubt. But yeah,
well, that was the thing was Taika Waititi went on record and said, like when they asked him, they're like, "What kind of research did you do to play this guy?" And he's like, "None. Fuck him." So almost everything he did was inaccurate in terms of like like the little things and all that stuff. But I think the only real accurate stuff they got was like the look and the jodhpurs and the bullet wound in his head at the end of the movie.
To be fair, I mean, I've seen an alternate history book, or there was an author in that released a book that's called He Has Returned, which is basically Hitler coming back after like 30 years or something like that, and just having a midlife crisis because he can't keep up with modern day Germany.
They made a movie about
actually
that.
Made a movie out of
funny. That. There was an episode of The Twilight Zone years and years and years ago with a very young Dennis Hopper in it. The episode came out in the 50s, which was not that long after the Second World War. And it was about a young American neo-Nazi who was trying to gain traction for his movement. And of course, everybody was ignoring him because fuck the Nazis, right? And he goes and he recruits like 2 other guys, but that's it. That's his whole movement. And then this dude shows up in the shadows, never shows his face, never says his name, but he's got this very Austrian accent, and he starts giving him pointers. And so Dennis Hopper's movement starts making traction and getting more, more noticed and whatnot. And it ultimately culminates in a murder where he ends up killing one of his own guys because, he wasn't a true believer or whatever. And then the guy comes out of the shadows and he was just like, now and it's Adolf Hitler, who had survived the bunker and was, trying to rebuild his stuff from the shadows.
How familiar are you with Edgar Wallace movies?
Ooh.
I can't say I know the name off the top of my head.
He's the director who's very famous for doing black and white movies. And there was like a parody of a movie like 20, 30 years ago in Germany. And they made a parody called the Wichser, which Wichser means wanker, but is it like a play on words? And they also had a parody of Hitler in that movie, and I think it was Alfons Hitler, and he was like, "I can vouch to be the Führer," basically. Ich könnte mich als Führer anbieten. But yeah, it is kind of funny, and even had the little mustache going on. It's like, oh, I can do that. Yes, I can be the Führer.
Yeah, you know what's funny? Charlie Chaplin did a movie I think called The Great Dictator, where
yes,
good movie by the way.
It is. Yep, that's a good movie.
Very sad for a Chaplin movie. It's actually pretty depressing.
Clifton, I abducted. I just want to go on record. I actually abducted Larry and skinned him. So basically, what you see is me being Larry. I just want to be transparent with you, not to disappoint you, but yeah,
that's pretty dark, man.
Well, he is German. It's in his blood.
Okay. Have you heard German bedtime stories before? Have you heard German bedtime stories like the Thumbsucker or anything like that?
No, tell me.
Probably when I was a kid, yeah.
Basically, the gist of the story is there's a boy who sucks his thumbs, and he's being told off by his mom. And he gets repeatedly told off by his mom to not suck his thumb to fall asleep. So his mom one day threatens him to cut off his thumbs with gardening shears. And basically, she does that just to stop him from sucking his thumbs. That's a bedtime story.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And how do you sleep at night?
I don't know. That's what I've been asking myself the last couple of years.
Did that bring you comfort in any way?
Huh?
Did that bring you comfort in any way?
No. It's like the Grimm fairy tales, right? Because if you really think about the Grimm fairy tales, like Hansel and Gretel or whatever the fuck, they're not necessarily like the most cheerful stories if you really think about it. Like if you look at like the adaptation that was done with what's his fucking name again? It's with Jenna Atherton and Jeremy Renner. That's like romanticizing the idea of the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, a lot of those. Oh yeah, that's a good one too, Clifton. Struwwelpeter. Yeah, that's a good one too. Yeah.
A lot of the Grimm's fairy tales come from what used to be the Black Forest region of Europe, and so a lot of those, they were morality tales. They were like, "Hey kids, don't do these things, or this horrible shit will happen to you," and they were very explicit in a lot of cases. It wasn't until later that other people got a hold of the stories, and they're like, "Yeah, we can't tell this to children," and they sanitized a lot of them. But yeah, it's like Little Red Riding Hood, for example, right? Little Red Riding Hood, like, it's pretty much what it sounds like, except that the wolf swallows grandma whole and Riding Hood, and it's the woodman who comes in and guts the thing with his axe and pulls them out of the thing's stomach, and it's messy as shit.
Yep. German fairy tales are pretty fucked up, guys. Honestly, they're very, very fucked up. If you want a tame version of the fairy tales, I recommend reading the comic books called The Book of Fables, which is basically all the fairy tale characters living together in New York City, and the big bad wolf is a police officer solving crimes. Highly recommend that. It's a good read. There was a game based along those called The Wolf Among Us. If you played that game, then you know what I mean, because that's a pretty good Telltale series games, and I honestly think it's a shame that they haven't done the sequel much sooner than they did.
Well, here's the thing about that, because we have covered that topic on the channel before. So I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but the creator of Fables, he was fighting with the comic company that he was publishing under, but he had retained full rights to all of his IP, but he couldn't publish without specific things from them that he didn't want to do. And last year he put everything that he owned in that IP out on open source. It is anybody who wants to can take that IP and make anything they want. And he encourages it because he's like, fuck these guys.
Yep. And he used to be published under the DC publishing brand. I think it was Skybound or something like that. Actually, let me get the comic books real quick. I'll be right back.
He does have the collection of the comic books.
I'm sure he does. They were very popular. I never read them myself. I was more of a Johnny the Homicidal Maniac kind of guy.
Seems like you, anyway.
What do you mean?
That book is so fucked up.
There's a lot of fucked up comic books, I'll tell you.
Hey, Richard.
Hey, Richard.
Hi.
There's the comic books.
Ooh.
All right, and then there's volume 2, Vertigo Comics. That's what it was.
Vertigo was the
offshoot. Used to be under DC, which used to be under DC Comics. I
think Vertigo still
his assistant is also Snow White. That's Snow White on the cover, by the way. That's his assistant.
Vertigo also did the Sandman comics, which Netflix adapted horribly.
Yeah, don't get me started on that one. I could go on a tangent on that one. Oof. And of course, the Big Bad Wolf again. I highly recommend if you like that kind of stuff, just play the Telltale game because it's pretty good. I actually enjoyed that very thoroughly. It's pretty good.
The television series Once Upon a Time, which was on ABC, heavily borrowed from these comic books, but they put the Disney spin on things, and later on started incorporating characters purely from Disney movies and shit like that. But I would recommend watching the first 4 seasons. 5th one gets a little wonky, and then everything goes to shit after that. But the first 4 are pretty good. But it's about a town in the real world where everybody is connected in ways that they don't fully understand because they don't remember that they are in fact fairy tale characters who are cursed to be in the real world. It's an interesting concept. So
I mean, it's like the whole season's like $8 on Steam at the moment. So if you haven't played it yet, guys, do it. Do yourselves a favor and do it. It's actually pretty solid. It's like 5 episodes.
Looking at Steam right now,
and it's like an interactive movie, but it's pretty damn good. I'll say this much. It's definitely it's like a playable movie, like the these games called again the Quantic Dream games, but a lot better, of course, because Quantic Dream fucking sucks in my opinion. But that's just me.
Hey, Captain, good to see you, man. Andy Pickle mentions once again Brotherhood of the Wolf. Now, earlier when I said that French films suck, this is one of the exceptions. Brotherhood of the Wolf is fucking incredible. It is.
Brotherhood of the Wolf is actually not bad. That's true.
Let me put it this way: the first time I saw it, I went to the theater to see it. One of the things that I noticed first off was that the English subtitles were actually done so well that they'd use words like "we," right? Like "yes," for example, in the French, and then it'd say "yes" on the screen. But after a while, for the simple words that became really obvious what they meant, they stopped putting them in the subtitles, but you were still understanding. They did it very cleverly. It was very cool. It's also based on one of my favorite stories from French legend, the Beast of Gévaudan, which we've discussed on the channel several times as well. And it's part of it's based on that, and then part of it's based on speculation about that event. But the whole last third of the movie turns into this like batshit kung fu epic. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I love that.
It goes so far off the rails that you can't help but enjoy the ride. It's really good. Plus, it was my introduction to Vincent Cassel, who is a French actor of some note and is actually very, very, very good.
Fun fact: Vincent Cassel is actually in the latest Tekken game as a French assassin called Victor.
Is he? Huh.
So that's his first voice acting role in a video game.
Oh, good for him.
I was talking off stream with Sam about his avatar because it reminds me of Yoshimitsu from Tekken 7 because his head is like very similar.
Oh, you're right. I didn't see that until now.
But it is not, apparently, because Sam told me the origins of that one. But it does look very similar to that.
Andy, that's exactly what I'm talking about. It's like you get so into the movie at a certain point that you don't even notice that there are subtitles, and you're still following along very, very easily. They did them very well. It's one of the best subtitled films I've ever seen in terms of immersion. They did such a good job.
I need to address something about subtitled movies or dubbed movies, by the way, because I bring this example up all the fucking time. It's Inglourious Bastards. I mean, if you have seen it, then more power to you. Then good. It's this Quentin Tarantino film in World War II, and that movie has been notoriously overdubbed in German because Germans love to overdub literally everything. And the thing with Inglourious Bastards is that the language in the movie does play a key factor in it. Because the Christoph Waltz, who's playing the main bad guy called Hans Landa, speaks like 3 different languages in the movie. It's French, Italian, and German, I think. And he does voice his own lines in the German dub as well. So he actually speaks literally everything in German in that movie, which is kind of sad, honestly, because it takes away from the magic of the movie. And also, Michael Fassbender, who is actually a German-Irish actor, most of people don't even know that he has German roots, has his first German-speaking role in that movie. And he even speaks like a few German words in the movie, but they get overdubbed by another voice actor.
I would have thought that he would have had some German ancestry. Fassbender sounds like a German name.
Yeah, it is a German name. I think his mom's German. But yeah, they actually overdubbed his voice lines in that movie, even though he does actually speak very, very good German in that one. And to this day, that really, really pisses me off because it takes a lot of context away from the movie when you overdub things like that. It's the same like Saving Private Ryan. If the American soldiers would speak to the German soldiers in the German dub, they would still say like, "Hä? Was hat gesagt?" Like, what did he say? Even though they speak the same fucking language in the dub, right? But it is still kind of funny to me that they do that. It's like a massive oversight, but yeah.
That's pretty funny. They also pack the screen with fast-moving subtitles, I've noticed in some of the German films I've watched. It's very difficult to keep up with the subtitles, which means that you miss a lot of the shit that's going on screen. It's one of the few things I actually hate about German cinema.
Yeah, Clifton, you and I hated watching in German. Yeah, I actually... Inglourious Bastards? Or which movie?
No, he's talking about Brotherhood of the Wolf. So Brotherhood of the Wolf is about an event that occurred in the late 1600s, early 1700s. I think it was late 1600s. But it was there was a series of animal attacks in a place called Montmartre, specifically a region called Gévaudan, which is why it's called the Beast of Gévaudan or La Bête du Gévaudan. And this animal, over the course of about 3 months, maybe a little longer than that, killed something close to 180 people. Men, women, and children. It wasn't picky about that. And they were partially eaten, but never totally. And they were just kind of left out there to rot by whatever killed them. And they never caught the thing. And they still, to this day, don't know exactly what it was. There are lots of theories about what it was, but they still have no idea. And they went so far as to have a naturalist, which is part of what the movie's based on, kill and stuff a large wolf. Right, do the whole taxidermy thing to make it appear to be this great big beast and stuff, which was actually displayed by the King of France at the time in his court as proof that they had destroyed the thing. But it was not, in fact, the thing. It was a wolf that they had killed, and then they'd made to look much larger and more menacing than it was in real life. They never found this animal. It stopped killing and disappeared one day, and to this day, nobody knows what became of it. It's one of the things that gets brought up when people talk about real werewolves, because that's one of the theories, you know. And yeah, it's a wild story. Like the real story is crazy, but this movie takes it to another kung fu-y level. It's awesome.
Have you seen the Crimson Rivers trilogy by chance? Which is another, it's like a thriller crime trilogy with Jean Reno.
I know who Jean Reno is, but I like Jean Reno. I don't think I've seen that.
They're pretty solid. Like the first two movies are pretty good. The third one is a bit like, you could actually skip that one, but the first two are pretty solid. They were like released like shortly before that movie we just talked about.
Yeah,
it's like two French cops investigating separate murders, finding a common link between the killings. As more murders occur, the two find an increasing number of horrific details pointing to a conspiracy. So there's interconnected murders, and it's a pretty good thriller. We've been shitting on French movies quite a lot, but Jean Reno is doing pretty good movies actually. Yeah, Clifton. The thing is, with me, my dad taught me how to count, and the Brits start with the index finger. That's why I start counting with my fingers first, and then do the thumb last. But it really depends. Like I give myself away at work all the time because Germans start counting with the thumb first and then do the fingers. And people, like even my patients, say to me like, "Hey, you're not actually German, are you?" I was like, "Well, I don't have."
Oh man.
So yeah,
like what gave it away? Give me 3 good reasons. What gave it away? Well, you're not using your thumb first.
That's actually a plot point in Inglourious Basterds.
Yes, it is, which led to a very
brutal shootout.
Yes.
I might be one of the only people on earth who doesn't like that movie.
It's an okay movie. It's dumb, but
I didn't enjoy it. Is all. I just I couldn't get into it, and I found everything so ridiculously over the top. Plus, I fucking hate Eli Roth.
Eli Roth as the Bear Jew is horribly miscast in my opinion.
Yeah, well, I don't like what he's done to the horror genre. I think that he's a shit director, and I think that he's way too into fucking torture porn, which is not horror in my opinion. It's just fucking gross out, nastiness on the screen, and I think he's fucking full of himself. I think he thinks of himself as the Tarantino of horror, and I think that his quality comes nowhere near that.
No, heck no.
And I don't even like Tarantino that much. There are a handful of things he did that I didn't like, but I'm one of those guys who I'm not a fan. I haven't ever been a fan.
Tarantino has always been hit and miss with me. There's like 1 or 2 movies where I'm like, yeah, he did a pretty solid job, and then there's like movies where you're like, what the fuck were you thinking?
Yeah.
Like I'm probably in the minority when I say I hate The Hateful Eight, for example. I don't like that movie at all.
I never watched it. After the last thing that I watched that I remember seeing that was Tarantino movie was Kill Bill Part 2, and I fucking hated it.
The thing is, if you hate Channing Tatum, you get your money's worth with that movie. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That's also very fair.
I find Channing Tatum
Edge of Tomorrow and Tom Cruise
kind of entertaining.
Yeah, it's like Edge of Tomorrow or what is it called, Live, Die, Repeat nowadays, which is actually based on a Japanese comic book. believe it or not. Where Tom Cruise repeatedly bites the dust. If you hate Tom Cruise and you want to see him die a few times, that's a pretty good movie to watch. But I don't have a problem.
I hear that's a pretty good movie all around. But...
It's a pretty solid movie, actually. I didn't even know it was based on a comic book until I actually did some research on it.
Yeah, a lot. You'd be surprised what is. There's a lot of stuff out there that is. There was specifically during the early 2000s into the 2010s, there were a lot of movies that came out that nobody knew were based on comic books because these were not superhero books, right? Like Road to Perdition, for example, is a comic book movie. Most people wouldn't know that. It's a pretty good movie, you know, if you can get past the fact that Tom Hanks is kind of a fucking creep, you know. But the movie itself is actually pretty good, but it is based on a comic book. It's just not a popular and well-known book outside of certain circles because it has nothing to do with capes or like science fiction or anything. It's a very grounded story. You know,
same with 300, right? It kind of, because it wasn't 300 also partially based on a comic.
Okay, so 300 is based on a graphic novel by Frank Miller, who is one of the most famous comics writers and artists in the last 40 years. He's the guy who created Elektra. He wrote an epic Daredevil run for eight years. He wrote the Dark Knight Returns, which is deconstructivist, but it is still very good. He wrote Batman Year One. He did Sin City, which was his own creation, which also had a couple of movies based on it. So when he did 300 is essentially a stylized version of the story of the Battle of Thermopylae, which was a real battle. But of course, everybody who was there died. So like there was mostly, you know, like what stories were told about it, but very few of them outside of the Persian army were told from a first person perspective or first hand perspective. So what we get is mostly legend. So Frank Miller took that story and he made a stylized graphic novel that's actually quite good. Zack Snyder's version of that is almost a shot for shot, panel for panel visual medium version of another visual medium. He basically recreated the comic book and put movement to it.
I mean, say what you want about Zack Snyder, but that was probably his most faithful adaptation that he did. If he, and I'm not a massive fan of the guy for like his stylistic choices that he does sometimes. They make my screen crawl.
No, Zack Snyder sucks. I liked Frank Miller as a writer. I like a lot of his stuff, but I like his style. There are a lot of people who disagree with me about that, and I think that's fair. You know, there's some stuff I could definitely see how he rubs people the wrong way. Like Carrie in chat here saying he sucks. You know, and I get it. I do. I happen to like his stuff. He also wrote, to be fair, he has written some shit too, like RoboCop 2 and 3. He wrote the scripts for those movies. They're not good.
They're not great, no.
You know? So there's that. I like those movies because I like shitty movies, but and I love that character, RoboCop. But yeah, he wrote the sequels to the first one, and they're not good movies. You know, so to be fair, Frank Miller is kind of hit or miss with a lot of different people. I like some of his stuff, I don't. I think he writes Batman in particular and Daredevil in particular probably better than anybody else who's written them, except maybe Denny O'Neil, who wrote a number of Batman books for like 30 years. That dude wrote some incredible fucking Batman stories, but otherwise, yeah, I've never really cared much for his art style, though. It always seemed a little slapdash to me. You know, it's very blocky. It has a very unfinished look to it, and I'm just like, fuck, your publisher let you print this. You know? Yeah,
that's always the thing that boggled my mind a little bit. Like, how did that get past the publisher like that? They could have touched it up a little bit, in my opinion.
Yeah. Richard, when you're talking about you hated 300, you didn't like the style of filmmaking, I think that's more criticism of Snyder, I think, than it is of Miller, although I could see both there, because that's Snyder's style. All of his movies look like that, except I think Dawn of the Dead, which he had a lot of fucking people looking over his shoulder on that one. Like have you ever seen Sucker Punch? So a lot of people hate that movie. I happen to be one of the few who enjoys it, but it's not good. It's basically just visual fluff pasted over a horrific fucking little vignette about it's about parents touching kids inappropriately and then having the one who stood up to him lobotomized so that she wouldn't talk. It's fucked up, that movie is.
There's a difference if you watch the cinematic and the director's cut of that movie as well, because there's like 30 minutes missing from that movie.
So and
which was oddly enough delegated to the Blu-ray release. If you got the DVD release when it came out for home theaters, you didn't get the full movie.
Well, I'm not sure I want more of that movie. While I did enjoy it, this is not a movie that I watch all the time. This is like a once in a while thing, and then I remember why I'm not watching it constantly. I was like, holy fuck, that's dark.
Reminds me a little bit of the American McGee duology of the Alice in Wonderland books. They made a video game adaptations of that with 2 games. There was like the American McGee's Alice, and then there was Alice Madness Returns after that. So it was like a duology of Madness Returns is pretty damn good. Even though that game makes me sleepy for some reason. I couldn't play like more than without getting sleepy.
It is a solid game. I actually had trouble because I really wanted to play that, but that game is not for kids. It's not.
No,
and I had a kid who was really interested in video games, and so I couldn't play it when she was awake because she'd just want to come and watch. And I was like, no, this is going to scar you for life. It's kind of scarring me.
Not a game for kids. Trust me.
Yeah. That's some dark shit, that is.
Oh yeah.
For context, for those of you who don't know, and I would recommend playing the game because visually it's very stunning and the story is good, even if it takes you to some very unpleasant places in your head. But it's essentially about a girl who's, people died in a fire that she may or may not have started, and then she gets turned out by pimps and abused, and she retreats into her mind, which is Wonderland, which begins to come apart around her because her mind is fracturing, and she may or may not be killing people in real time while this is happening.
Yep, it's a pretty messed up game. It is good, but also pretty messed up. It's very heavy. Like, it's the kind of game you don't want to play like when you're having a bit of a downer at the moment.
So Carrie, I think you're referring to Sucker Punch. Don't watch Sucker Punch. I wouldn't recommend it. It's like, I enjoy the movie on occasion, but it's not something that I watch all the time. And it's almost universally fucking hated, even by the people who made it. So,
the best thing that came out of that was the soundtrack, oddly enough. From Sucker Punch.
Snyder's always been good with soundtracks. His soundtracks are usually bangers, but that doesn't excuse a lot of the other stuff.
The soundtrack may be compensating for a lot,
Yeah. So no, there's some dark shit out there, but I wouldn't watch that if you're not prepared for awful things to happen to young women for no reason.
Yep, it's pretty messed up. That's pretty messed up.
So it's I'm actually kind of surprised now that I think about it that Zack Snyder never got canceled over that movie.
I'm pretty shocked by that too, honestly.
Those
were different times. Those were different times.
Yeah. That was before cancel culture was a thing.
Yep.
This particular, I don't know. It's just one of those things. I've like the first time I watched it, I kind of glossed over all of the really bad shit in it, and I was just kind of lost in the spectacle of the dreams within dreams and all that shit. And some of that stuff is really cool looking. It makes no sense narratively, by the way, but the plot that does make sense is the really horrible shit that's like worms its way into the back of your brain and won't leave you alone. The rest of the plot makes zero fucking sense at all. It's just essentially for the visuals. Yeah.
It's visual porn, really, if you really think about it.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed it for that aspect of it. That's really all I saw, because I saw it in the theater, and in the theater, it's all like, boom, it's big and it's huge and it's right there in your face. And I was kind of missing some of the subtleties. So the second and third time I watched it, I picked up a lot more of that, and I was like, oh, this is why my wife hates this fucking movie, because I couldn't figure it out. And I was just like, oh, yeah.
Wait, Oscar Isaac was a Sucker Punch? I forgot about that.
Yup, he plays the pimp.
Oh yeah,
the guy who runs the asylum.
He does, actually.
Yep.
Yup.
I forgot about that. It's been years since I watched Sucker Punch. I just remember all these YouTube edits and AMV videos where people put the Korn and Skrillex song over the fighting scenes with the lead girl and all that stuff. Instead of the Björk song that they remixed for the movie. Vanessa Hudgens and Emily Browning and
It was my introduction to Emily Browning. Actually, I've seen her in a bunch of shit since, but I had no idea who she was at the time.
I knew who Vanessa Hudgens was before that, but not Emily Browning. That's for sure.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. Part of me kind of wants to watch it again because I'm masochistic that way, I guess. But it's like, so did you guys ever see? This was one of James. I think this was James Gunn's actual first movie after he left Troma. It's called Slither. Stars Nathan Fillion.
Ooh, that sounds familiar.
Okay. Did I actually see that one? Let's see. I don't think I have.
Slither is technically cosmic horror comedy. Yeah. Yeah, it's technically cosmic horror comedy. It's got a bunch of people in it that you'd probably recognize off the top.
Michael Rooker is in it.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And chick who did
this movie. Okay, yeah. It's been very long. I was way too young to watch that one. That's for sure. I was way too young.
So I wasn't too young to watch that, and it's one of those movies. I love this movie. I fucking love it. It's great, but it is pretty fucking messed up, and so I only watch it about once a year because there's some shit that happens and it is like, holy fuck. But there's it essentially starts with a meteorite and a parasite gets into a dude, and then a bunch of people end up getting turned into acid spitting zombies, and then some of them get fed to enormous proportions and burst and turn into these slug things, and it all comes together in this like sentient mass of alien goo that falls in love with the wife of the dude that it initially possessed, because they sort of merged a cow gets sliced in half with a tentacle. It's fucked up.
It's very fucked up.
So yeah, it's but it's really fucking funny at the same time. Right? Some of the dialogue is just on point. It's probably my favorite thing James Gunn has ever done. And it was real early on in his career. And a lot of people don't know this, but he did work for Troma prior to that. So that's where he actually learned how to do all of his stuff. That's why a lot of his stuff is gross out sight gags.
He also co-wrote a video game called Lollipop Chainsaw, which is about a high school girl wielding a chainsaw with her ex-boyfriend's head being attached to her hip, and they're actually re-releasing that relatively soon. That was like a little hack and slash game kind of thing.
Andy Pickle, I think I've seen Not Porn, actually. It's been a long time, but yeah, I think I've seen that. Yeah,
there was literally a movie called that. What? Really?
It was an internet short.
Okay, gotcha. That explains a lot.
Slither, that was a gross movie. Yeah, it was. Sliver's a different kind of thing. That's a Sharon Stone being like cyber stalked and all that before cyber was a thing. It was like video cameras and shit. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
Sharon
it's
Stone,
tis what it is. So before we close out for the day, I did have one thing I wanted to bring up. And I'm not saying we're closing out right now. I just wanted to make sure that I do this beforehand. So a lot of you guys out there know that I skywatch, right? I like to look at clouds. I like to look at stars and constellations and the moon and different phases and stuff, just because I enjoy it very much. Some of you guys saw some of the stuff that Kohai in particular posted when the Aurora Borealis was happening a while back. And I think I threw in one good shot that I had taken. It was the best one that I had taken anyway. So years and years ago, when I first got talked into getting a cell phone by my now ex-wife, because I had a landline and an answering machine long before the rest of the world, or long after the rest of the world had moved on to portable phones. I found like my very first phone that was a cell phone was a flip phone, but it still had one of those like little bitty cameras on the back. It was like a Nokia or whatever, or not a Nokia, but it was a Razor, I think. And this shitty camera that had the worst resolution on it, right? The worst. But one thing that I found that it did really well, and I think precisely because the resolution was so bad, was take really cool pictures of like flare pictures of the sun, you know, not necessarily like dead on, but like, you know, like hidden behind clouds, or picks up crepuscular rays very well, that kind of thing. And so I started this, I don't know if you'd call it a hobby, because I'm not that consistent with it, but if I see something involving the sun, or like a sunset or sunrise, or, you know, certain cloud formations and whatnot, I take pictures of it with my camera phone. And now I've got a higher quality camera phone, but it's still not like, you know, the greatest quality of camera in the world at all. It's just built into my fucking phone. It's Galaxy S9. It's like, you know, 5-year-old phone. It's way out of date. But I do take them still, even after I kind of kept up with the practice of that. And so I thought, if you guys are interested, I have some photos that I've actually uploaded to the computer here. I can share them with you for some more recent ones. So if you guys are interested. So you know what? Fuck you, chat. If you're not interested, we're doing it anyway.
Screw you, chat. You have to put up with my shit.
Right? So there's no sound or anything. It's just I just got them in a folder. So and most of these, by the way, you're not going to get the total effect for, because I have cropped out identifying structures and landmarks and whatnot. So, but yeah, this is the first one.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I do like to. I've only got like 9 on here. There are many more. These are just some of the more recent ones. This one I got the other day.
Ooh.
Sunset,
Nice.
and there was a tree, and it was like, yeah, I gotta take a shot of that. So I like cloudscapes too, Richard. Yeah, quite a bit. For instance.
Wow, I like that one.
That was rad.
Yeah, Wyoming skies, y'all. Nice. This one looks. I'm actually really happy with how this one turned out.
You should be. It looks pretty good.
Yeah, just you know, and again, low resolution, fucking, you know, Samsung camera phone.
Looks good,
you don't necessarily have to have an expensive camera to take a good shots, you know.
Yeah,
I like the silver lining shown in the clouds.
Oh yeah, and you get the beginning of like a crepuscular ray here, a major crepuscular ray, which is also known as a God ray. Which I actually had to look up before I knew that. But there's another version of this that shows a wider shot, and you can see a little bit more of this here in the collection. There's another good one.
Ooh.
I like that one quite a bit, how that turned out. It looks like everything's on fire. This is, I think, the wider shot, and you can see a little bit of like street lamps and shit like that, but you can also see that over in this area, there's more rays coming down. The sun is actually back up here. You know, so all of that light's coming out, you know, elsewhere.
It's pretty cool.
Some storm clouds just outside of town that day. I think we were under tornado watch.
You would be the one to like go out there like, oh, tornado warning, tornado watch. I don't care. There's cool clouds outside.
This one is a little different. This is a nighttime shot of, and it didn't come out too great, but of the full moon coming up over the horizon. So the night shots almost never turn out well, but yeah, that one's pretty cool. That's all the ones that I have loaded up here currently. But if you guys are interested, I might continue sharing these with you down the road.
So, please do.
I like this. I like this kind of stuff. Like photography like that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's nothing. I don't do anything professional or anything like that. It's just like, oh, that looks cool, and I take a picture of it. You know? So, Andy Pickle, I actually do have a number of photos of Devil's Tower that I can't share with the public because they have my family's faces in them. But I might
You can just put emojis on their heads, you know.
No, they're little tentacles. To be just like, where's Samuel's kid?
Look at me, I'm Dr. Zoidberg, homeowner.
Why not Zoidberg?
Why not Zoidberg? Exactly.
Yeah, thank you, Nerd. Yeah. Clifton, that's mostly down south. It's not so much a thing that we do here. We get a tornado warning, we ignore it right up until they say head to shelter, and then we go to it. Like the rest of the time, we're still working or doing whatever it is that we're supposed to be doing for the day. So
the only run and gun for it.
Yeah, and out here, I can't speak for everywhere that tornadoes happen because it is kind of random with some of them, but we get hailstorms that precede them. So when the hail starts dropping and it's it gets to a quarter of an inch to I don't know, we had hail a couple of weeks ago that was like 1 3/4 inches in diameter, which will kill you, by the way.
Yes.
it's plenty to kill you. But when that starts happening, then you get inside, or when if you've got excessive lightning and that kind of thing, if there's enough rainfall to cause the streets to flood. What's really fun is when you get so much water that the storm drains can't handle it, so it looks like the street is a river, but it's not just water and mud and whatever else other crap it picks up. It's also like it looks like it's kind of it looks like moving popcorn a little bit because it's also chock full of hail that had just fallen. It's just floating. We had a storm once in Laramie that flooded the city so much that there were a couple of telephone poles that had come down in the alley behind my house at the time, and they were just floating along in 3 feet of fucking standing water right down the alley.
Okay.
Good times, good times. The weather here's a little nuts.
Wild.
But, fun fact, Andy. So if you go to the campground just outside of Devil's Tower, right, during the month of July, and I think partway into August, every night for I think Monday through Friday, they set up this screen and they play Close Encounters of the Third Kind. What's really cool about it is that the screen is outdoors, so it's kind of like a drive-in, except it's a campground and all that stuff. But the actual Devil's Tower is against the sky behind the screen. It's fucking incredible. It's a very cool experience. So yeah. But yeah, that's I don't know. We know we got all kinds of fun stuff here in the States, man. I'd say that I hope you get a chance to enjoy all of it, but some of it's pretty bad. No.
I mean, sometimes I do miss a certain weather, but then again, I'm kind of glad that I don't have to deal with tornadoes here at the moment. But then again, if I ever consider moving to the States, I would probably have to consider having to deal with that kind of shit because, it'll just happen naturally. And I think Clifton is trolling, Richard. I think Clifton is trolling, honestly.
I think he might be. He might be. Texas is known for the worst barbecue. Oh, dude, those are fighting words for a lot of people. I mean, for my money,
those are words that you'd get shot at.
Yeah, for my money, the meat is better in Texas at a barbecue, right? Texas barbecue meat is better, but the best sauces come from Kansas City, in my opinion.
I guess. Yeah.
I can agree to that. Yeah.
Yeah. So they put some of the blues soul into their sauces, man. It's good.
Yeah, because Texas sauces are more like Tex-Mex sauces, so it's more of like just kind of get rid of the Mex because I'm already Mex and I don't want more Mex in my sauces. So I like the sassiness in it. Okay. Yeah. Hey, po' boys are really good in Louisiana and gumbo too.
Oh man, yeah, some of the soul food that comes out of
things
there
about
is
gumbo.
so good.
Ooh, gumbo is legit.
Depends on who makes it, and don't ask what's in it.
Gumbo?
Yeah.
No, I know what's in gumbo. I eat it.
Oh, sure. I'm sure that you eat gumbo that has a recipe that's easily recognizable. Yeah, Louisiana,
I've been to
down
parts of
south, New
Louisiana.
Orleans. Some of their gumbo is kind of sketch. It's still good, but don't ask what's in it.
No. I know people, if they run over a turtle or any animal, they will pull off to the side, pick up the animal, and make it into dinner later on.
Mm-hmm.
They eat roadkill.
It's legal in a lot of places.
Yes, yeah. And they have drive-through cocktails. If you want a cocktail, you can go through a drive-through. I don't know how I did that once, but that's been years. I remember ordering like a tequila sunrise, and they put the little lid on it, and they're like, "Okay, well, don't drink it until you get home." It's like, sure.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, but no, I Louisiana, there's some hits and there's some misses on Louisiana food. Po' boys, gumbo, beignets, yes, I can eat that. But if it's like Cajun Louisiana, like, ooh, you gotta ask what kind of white meat this is, because if this is rattlesnake, this is the other white meat that I am not a fan of.
Beak. The only reason that some of it might be a sketch as chugwater chili is if the person making it is Haitian. That's all I'm saying about that.
Yeah, there's certain memes about that one, isn't there?
They're not just memes. But
okay.
So for context, when people talk about, when Beak's mentioning chugwater chili here, I mention it as well because look, Chugwater is a small ass town in Wyoming that's pretty far from everything else. They have a chili competition every year, like a big old cook-off and all that stuff, and that sounds fine, right? Except that everybody in Chugwater is kind of inbred, and I'm pretty sure they're cannibals, so don't eat the chili there. That's not hyperbole. I think they actually are.
Wouldn't surprise me.
There's no proof though, because they ate all of it. Yeah, just don't stop it. There's no reason ever to stop in Chugwater, Wyoming. No reason at all. They used to have a gas station there, but about 12 years ago, some naked drunk dude in a flaming car drove into it and burned the whole thing to the ground, and the owners just decided not to rebuild it and took the insurance payout.
Was that you, Samuel?
It wasn't, actually. I read about it in the newspaper.
Oh, okay.
I'm not too sure about
I don't
that.
go to Chugwater.
So, but you know a good amount of information about it.
Everybody knows about it out here. Everybody knows about it.
Snoo, do you know about it?
No.
It's out here.
I heard about it once. It was on X-Files, actually.
Did you guys see the movie Paul?
Yes.
No, it looked dumb as hell.
It is. It's kind of fun, but it's kind of dumb. It's like takes Edgar Wright's Cornetto trilogy and cuts most of the clever out of it, and it just becomes a Seth Rogen movie. But it's okay. It's okay. The one thing that I have take issue with, because there's a town that features in it called Moorcroft. Moorcroft is about 30 miles from Devil's Tower, because Devil's Tower also features in it, because the whole thing was all about like sci-fi films and all that stuff. And obviously Devil's Tower features in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Everything about what they said in there about Moorcroft is 100% inaccurate. There are no giant fucking ravines you can just drive into out there. It's all flatland, right? There's some hills and shit, but it's nothing to get excited about. There isn't just one fucking farmhouse in the middle of nowhere that's called Moorcroft. It's actually a town, and it does have town limits. It's incorporated. It's just like a lot of that stuff was just completely inaccurate. But the reason that I bring it up is because that town, when I talk about how locals know things about that town is home to the Wyoming branch of a group of how do I put this, inbred cultists that go by the term the Old Apostolic Lutheran Church. They're everywhere. They're all over Washington State and Oregon and all that stuff too. And they actually come from, I think, Sweden originally. but they're all blonde. They're all blue-eyed, right? They all have elongated torsos and short legs. The women start producing babies the second they graduate high school. The men start going to work the second they graduate high school.
Oh, we lost Samuel again. Dang it.
Just as I was about to return.
I'm here. I'm here.
Oh,
I'm
there.
here.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah, sorry. Anyway, it's a very cult-like thing. The women chain smoke to keep the birth rates down, or the birth weights down, so they can pump out more kids.
One pack a day.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. And every once in a while, they have to like ship in new members of their church from other regions and ship out some of their members just to kind of like introduce a little fresh blood, so they don't all end up with fucking webbed toes. It's a whole thing. There's more than one little culty town in Wyoming. That's all I'm saying. Warcroft is one of them. Chugwater is one of them, and everybody knows about it, but we don't really talk about it. You know, I talk about it under anonymity on the internet, but it's not really something that you speak about. You know?
It's who?
So, yeah, it's some ugly shit, and it's not like this is not a staple of Wyoming. There are little towns like this all over fucking America, and I would wager probably all over Europe too. You know, like little creepy towns full of creepy fucking people who smile too much and are probably all related. You know?
Well, you always have these kinds of corners everywhere in the world, sadly.
Yeah. So, yep. Jacob Gallo knows what I'm talking about. He says he lives in Washington State. He knows these people. We call them the Clannies. It's derogatory, but you know, it's a lot easier to say than Old Apostolic Lutheran Church every time you speak about them.
That's very true.
True.
So, but yeah, guys, I think we'll probably end it here. You know, It's been pretty good. We've done a pretty good job winging it today, seeing as how I didn't really put a show together in Larry's absence. You know? But
I was expecting quiz to be made from Larry, and we just go with it.
Well, you skipped the quiz last week. I was there.
Last week? Yeah. I was here last week.
Oh, the week before. The week before. Sorry, the week before.
I was busy. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you were.
So, anyhow, I do want to thank everybody in chat for hanging out and having a conversation with us and putting up with us and all that stuff. Also, big thank you to Smooth for stepping in for Larry. We do appreciate you you coming in clutch like that. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Nomi, as always, you're awesome. So
by the grace of God, I got out of the bar early. So I was like, I'm coming. Wait for me.
Fair enough. So why don't we tell people where they can find us in the upcoming week? Smooth, how about you?
Well, you can always find me on my main channel, Smooth the DJ, which is on YouTube and also on Twitter as at DJ Smooth, which is probably the main source where you find all the stuff that I'm doing. I'm going to be streaming a few video games over the weekend, but I'm probably just going to chill a little bit too. If you want to find me, you can click on the link in the description, which has a little typo in it, but I'm going to post the correct link in the chat real quick because I noticed that there was an S in the link that doesn't belong there. I think that was on me. So the link's in the chat now. You can find me on all the platforms there. Sunday, I will be returning to Final Fantasy XIV with my good co-host Tomby, probably around 8 p.m. UK time. Other than that, just keep an eye on Twitter or the community notes. I usually post where I'm going to be at. Yeah, you can usually find me here and on other random channels as well. Like Nomi's channel, Horny Elf, and this very channel as well. Yeah, that's all I got.
All right. Carrie, let me know if it's all right if I pass on your contact information, and I will I'll mention that. Okay. Nomi, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twix at Nomi Without You, and on Kick at Nomi Without You, and on my YouTube channel, Nomi Without You. Every Thursday, Dames and Dorks, and you can catch Smooth there too. Every Monday, you can catch me on Moonskull's crew with Geeks and Gamers Tabletop. We are playing Call of Cthulhu there, and it's been fun. It's been a heck of a ride. We haven't got to the stupid train yet, and that's what's been freaking killing me.
Is there actually a train though?
I don't think there's a train. I'm almost like, you know what? I'll just Minecraft myself right now in this game because I don't think this train exists.
I was just about to say, don't Minecraft yourself IRL, please.
No, not in real life. Midnight's Edge, Espanol.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I think that's pretty much it. But mainly, I will be doing a game stream on Kick tomorrow with Dreamy Tabitha. You can catch us there. Yeah, Twitter's been weird on my broadcast lately. I have to unlink it and link it again. So just stay tuned as I work through my technical difficulties. Mm-hmm. That's where anyone can find me.
All right. Yeah, Twitter's being kind of a bitch about some things because Elon's having a spat with the EU at the moment. Mm-hmm. And so he's changed some things rather suddenly without a lot of warning. And it's kind of fucked a lot of people who were already streaming to that platform. So I imagine there's some bugs to work out with that as well. There's the reason we're not on there is because I'm not fucking verified. And as of this last Saturday, we can no longer stream there if you're not verified. So it is what it is. But yeah, as for myself, obviously you can find me right here next week for next Abyssal Musings with Lawrence Knight should be back by then, hopefully. And so we'll see him then. In about an hour and a half, you can find me over on Beelzehub for Beelzepub, which I will be on there tonight as well. I think we have Static 2020 as guest tonight.
Ooh,
so that should be
I love Static.
Should be pretty cool. I haven't been on a stream. I tell a lie. I was on a stream with him at the beginning of the fucking week. I've done so many streams this week. It's out of character for me at this point. And then tomorrow afternoon, Screaming Into the Void right back here. You can find me on Exiled Lioness 2 when she goes live. I think there's going to be one tomorrow night, but I'll let you guys know. And then Metal Mondays on Adam the Renaissance Nerds channel. Other than that, I don't have plans to show up on any more streams. But I didn't really have plans to show up on more streams this week, and it kind of happened anyway. So
it's funny how that works, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
So yeah,
already.
Other than that, yeah, thank you guys for being here. Thanks to the panelists and co-hosts, and thanks to Larry for all the fucking work he puts into this show every week.
Yes.
Yep.
Shout out.
So
yeah, absolutely. Have a great night. And
Bye.
Remember, it could be raining flaming cobras. Bye, everybody.